There's a far deeper reality to your identity and the meaning in the world and the purpose of people in the world, which is the mission, the kingdom, people coming to know Jesus because time is short and the world is at a distressed moment. And he's saying, what better thing to do with your life than to remain single and serve Jesus? And he's saying, don't worry about your legacy or people who take care of you in the future because you have something called the church, and the church will take care of you. That's the picture, that's the beautiful thing. Now, some of you are going, okay, but I can't do anything useful when I'm single. I can't do anything useful with my singleness. I got to get married to make an impact on the world. Listen, let me give you an example. Who's my favorite author, for those of you who've been here for longer than 12 minutes? C.S. Lewis, all right. So I quote C.S. Lewis maybe 3 times a sermon. Now, C.S. Lewis, you know how old C.S. Lewis was when he got married for the first and only time? 58 years old. Now, C.S. Lewis might have had a little bit of impact, writing some of the greatest books of the 20th century, being seen as one of the greatest thinkers, a professor at Oxford, brilliant in a wide variety of things. The stuff we know him for, those were little side projects to his actual job and the things that he was known for, a medieval literature scholar, all right? And he had this group called the Inklings, all right? It was like Charles Williams and Tolkien and Lewis and Hugo Dyson, and they would go to a little pub in England, and every week they would sit around and they would read each other's poems. Like literally Tolkien read parts of The Hobbit to this group, and then they would critique it, and then Lewis would come in and he'd read his thing and they would critique. There was this group of people and they'd all sit around and they had this amazing thing that they had for years where they would get together. They called themselves the Inklings. And they would meet and they would talk. Now, I was reading this week, a book on the Inklings. And my wife thinks I'm kind of weird. I was probably born 100 years too late, to be honest with you, because when she goes out, I do something really creepy, which is I shut all the lights off in my house and I have this fireplace and I click on the fire and I read books by firelight. All right, so here's what I read this week, all right? I just try to tap into something, all right? Here's what I read. I was reading one of the books that I've read on the Inklings, on this group. And there was this fascinating reflection that Lewis made about the group. And he said this, listen to this. Those are the golden sessions, he says, when our slippers are on, our feet spread out toward the blaze, and our drinks are at our elbows. He's just talking coffee. When the whole world and something beyond the world opens itself to our minds as we talk. All are free men and equals, as if we had first met an hour ago, while at the same time an affection mellowed by the years enfolds us. Listen to what he says. Life, natural life, has no better gift to give. Who could have deserved it? You know what he's saying? This impacted me in the context of I prepped this week, because what he's saying is, in our apocalyptic romance culture, what we preach at people is the way that you're going to experience ultimate joy and ultimate transcendence is if you get married and have a whole bunch of sex, and blah, blah. That's going to be the greatest moments and joy of your life. And what Lewis just tapped into is he's saying that the moment of transcendence for me is not sex or marriage or having a bunch of kids. It's friendship, it's camaraderie, it's art. It's the discussion of ideas, that those are the moments where I feel the most joy, where I'm tapping into something transcendent. And notice that moment has nothing to do with being married or having kids. Nothing.